I'd love to give you the opportunity to perhaps change your position on what you said.
I'm not changing a thing.
Okay.
I didn't stutter when I said it.
You want to stay loud and wrong?
Well, you could call it loud and wrong all you want to. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine.
In the middle of the night, he's texting and calling Governor Walz a name that we don't use anymore.
Trump is being Trump.
Really? There's nothing cognitively wrong there?
Well, I'm not saying whether there is or isn't. What I'm saying is 77 million people don't care.
I think that the Democrats try harder than the Republicans to do that. Well,
really?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Like and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notifications. Anytime I go live, I make a video. Make sure you download Freedom Chat. And also, if you want to message me any questions, Brandon@freedomchat.com. Brandon@freedomchat.com. Let's get into this. I want to talk about Stephen A. Smith going on The Verge. The cackling hens on The View brought Stephen A. on. Is he writing a book? Is there a cold day in hell that they decided to have Stephen A. Smith on their show? And I don't know why, to be honest, I don't know why they got all this Christmas stuff on there, because they all devils. Just play the clip. Let's see what Stephen A. had to say. Did he back down, or did Stephen A. do Stephen A.? Roll the clip.
Let me just remind you that Pete Hegseth said in 2016, I do think there have to be consequences for abject war crimes. If you're doing something that is just completely unlawful and ruthless, then there is a consequence for that.
Time out. The fact that this woman, Lord help me, I'm in a beautiful studio. Let me not get crazy up in here. The fact that people are floating around a concept of war crimes. They didn't say nothing when Barack Obama was drone striking people to smithereens. They said nothing when he was the deporter in chief and doing all kind of, and they didn't say nothing. The View didn't say nothing. And now you got folk trying to bring drugs in our country, which drugs and fentanyl and all these things have killed more people than we've seen death in war. And y'all acting like it's a war crime. We should be celebrating at the fact that we're deterring terrorists from bringing drugs into our country and all kind of other nefarious things. This is a war against America, and y'all crying about a boat getting blown up. If you don't push the drugs over the water, you don't turn into smithereens. Let her finish. Roll it.
Terry said it won't follow unlawful orders from their commander-in-chief.
Okay.
Now, given the fact that the secretary himself said that,
you know they got a sign up there.
I'd love to give you the opportunity to perhaps change your position on what you said.
I'm not changing a thing.
Okay.
I didn't stutter when I said it.
You want to stay loud and wrong?
Well, you could call it loud and wrong all you want to. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to mine.
Okay.
Here's the reality of the situation.
There you go.
First of all, I don't give a damn what Pete Hegseth has to say, because I will tell you right now, he was never qualified for the job. When you talk about DEI and eradicating that, excuse me, what was he doing hosting Fox News on the weekend, and all of a sudden he's the defense secretary? Please give me a break. I don't care what he has to say.
How long, Stephen A? I thought I was going with you on that. Hold on, pausing. I thought I was going with you there. Stephen A. Smith, somebody hosting Fox News, and they served in the military. Pete Hegseth served in the military. He's seen combat. You cannot say he's not qualified. Therefore, you could say these people that have been running our country are not qualified. Y'all know me. I take sleep seriously. And you cannot be sharp, focused, and ready to go if you're running on bad rest. And that's why my family switched to Brooklyn bedding mattresses. And I'm telling y'all, it's a game changer. Brooklyn bedding has been around since 1995, starting out of Arizona by a guy with a dream and some hustle. And today they handle everything in-house. Design, assembly, and shipping straight from the factory to your front door. No middleman, just premium quality at a fair price. And the mattress came, it was rolled up in a box, very neatly presented, easy to set up, no weird smells, no weird hassle, none of that crazy stuff. Plus, every mattress comes with a 120-night sleep trial. And I love Brooklyn bedding so much that I just got another mattress for my guest room. I got a mattress for my mother-in-law. I'm telling you, when we first got the mattress, we slept on the mattress on the floor. I got video of it. We slept on the floor. The mattress is so good. With Brooklyn bedding, you're getting factory direct quality, no markups, No gimmicks, just real value. So here's the deal. We love our Brooklyn bedded mattresses, and I think that you'll love yours too. If you want a new mattress, all you gotta do is go to brooklynbedding.com. You can click on the link below and get 30% off your mattress with code Tatum. And after you check out, you can even support the show and telling them that I sent you in their post-purchase survey. Again, go to brooklynbedding.com and save 30% off your mattress with code Tatum. Trust me, once you go Brooklyn Bedding, you ain't going back. I think you have to have a good business acumen to be qualified to run the country as the president of the United States of America. Barack Obama did none of that. Joe Biden did none of that. His son was smoking crack on prostitutes, and y'all acting like he was qualified. Kamala Harris definitely wasn't qualified. What was she doing? Now, I'm in here. Y'all, my audience know what I would say about horizontal to go vertical, but I'm not going to say that here because I don't want nobody to get in trouble. But Kamala Harris wasn't qualified to run the country. I don't know why people don't understand this. Qualifications for certain appointed jobs are not necessarily based on some experience on a piece of paper. It's about leadership. Pete Hegseth is not going to war. He's not fighting any wars. It's can he lead in his position to get people in place to execute the things that need to get done. That's more of a qualification than somebody looking at a resume because somebody went to the university and got gender studies, biracial trans degrees. That don't mean nothing on a piece of paper if you don't have no common sense. There's people, some of the most wealthy people in the world didn't go to college. Our good friend, rest his soul, Charlie Kirk was one of the most brilliant people that I know, and he didn't go to college. So because he didn't have college, a degree on his resume or a master's degree or a doctorate, that mean that he's not qualified to do the things he did and change the world? Shut the front door. Last time I said Moses couldn't talk that good. It's probably why they were in the wilderness so long. But Moses couldn't talk that good. King David, you know, he was whooping them, but he had a problem with women. You say King David not qualified to be in the Bible, a man after God's own heart. So give me a break with that qualification stuff. Stephen A., we're going to have to talk about this one. But I want to hear what else you got to say. Roll the clip.
What I was talking about is military. What I did was get on the phone with family and friends who have served in the military. And I said, we're not civilians. This is not the court of law. You can be implicated for implying something if you are a former military member or you are a present military member. It wasn't what Mark Kelly said. It's the fact that he was a combat Navy pilot who served in the military who would tell folks, ignore an order when it could get them in a war.
He did not say
I said illegal. I said illegal. I'm talking illegal. I understand that.
He said you don't have to follow an unlawful order, and that is in the military code of conduct.
And I'm saying to you, hold on.
Hold on. Let me jump in here. That's like somebody coming to my house and saying, you don't have to listen to your dad tell you something that you disagree with. You don't have to listen to your dad tell you X, Y, Z. First of all, by saying that is implying that I'm telling my kids something wrong to start with. And for you to say you don't have to listen if it's an unlawful order, you're implying that there's unlawful orders given. It's not an impartial conversation that you're saying. You're going to get, now, who is going to determine if it's unlawful or not? That's the question. The things that Donald Trump is doing is not on the books as being unlawful. These are things that Congress and the Supreme Court have to dive into and have communication about to determine if this is legitimate or not. It's like executive orders. Sometimes there's ambiguity in executive orders. And if the courts, which we serve, we are in a country where there's co-equal branches of government, if the Supreme Court says, according to case law, according to precedent, this is not justifiable in the reading of the law, then therefore you can say it's unlawful. But if the president is doing things in good faith that's maybe ambiguous, it's up to the other branches of government to check and balance that. You can't just make an assumption and say, don't listen to unlawful orders as if he's doing that. And there's no unlawful order. I put that on everything I love. That not one code, not one law, they're going to mention on this show that Donald Trump violated. Maybe they will. I'll admit if I'm wrong. Roll the clip.
Which I'm aware of.
But it didn't sound like you were aware of that.
Well, no. I disagree with you.
Stephen, can I ask you a question?
I had two governors, by the way, text me to tell me I was wrong, and they agree with you.
You are wrong.
And I had two senators that reached out to me and said, you weren't wrong at all.
Well, Mikey Sherrill did say that the reason they felt the need to put that out is they were constantly being approached by people in the military saying, we're being put in really uncomfortable situations.
But
that to me is a little more relatable when you're a veteran yourself.
But I'm saying let me say this real quick.
You got to do it real quick. Or wait till we come back.
All I'm saying is this. If you're a member of the military, I'm looking at the soldiers as saying, don't get yourself in trouble. Let somebody else do it. Don't you do it because it ain't going to work for you.
But you get
Sorry, that was Alyssa Slotkin, not Mikey Sherrill.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Now, I don't know if Whoopi Goldturds said anything, but let's just put it in perspective. When do you make the decision that you ain't going to do something that the commander-in-chief told you to do? How does that play out? If you are ordered to do a strike on a boat that's a threat to America, you say, I'm big, bad, I can do what I want to do because I like the Democrats, and you just don't execute that order. Come to find out that it's right. Come to find out that it was a legal order given to you. Your career is done. You may go to jail. And if you somehow are in the air flying a fighter jet and you don't execute what they told you to do, and then the boat makes it to America and people die as a result, you're going to be held accountable for it. Unless Donald Trump said, take somebody around the corner and behead them, that's a different story. If he's executing a war, he's the one that takes the fall for it, not you. How many times did we see somebody get on TV? I got to get to Candace Owens. How many times do we see somebody get on TV and say, when they ask you to go to Afghanistan or Iraq, you say, I ain't seen weapons of mass destruction. I ain't going over there. Wait, so where's The View talking about that? When do they talk about that? When does The View or any of these cackling hens get on here and talk about the fact that people are committing crimes and they're getting let out the next day in many of these major cities? When are you calling out the prosecution? When are you calling out the judge for unlawfully allowing people to enter or to stay on the streets when they should be in prison forever? And they broke the law, though. When are y'all going to talk about the unlawful entry into our country? But when Donald Trump do something, y'all try to make it a big deal. Y'all going to get people in the military fired. You're going to get them prosecuted. You're going to get people hurt. You listen to the commander-in-chief. And to me, there's nothing overtly that he's telling people to do that's against the law. Why is that a hard thing?
Howie Mandel here. You wake up tired, you crash by noon, then can't sleep at night. Sound familiar? I think we can all relate. Shinergy Day gives you clean, lasting energy. No crash, no jitters, no nonsense. It's perfect for those long work days, intense workouts, or just trying to keep up with the kids. Shinergy Night helps you shut it all down. No melatonin fog, just real, restful sleep. If your mind won't stop and your body can't keep up, Shinergy is here to help. Use code Howie20 at ShinergyLife.com.
All right, let's see. We got some more clips on that. Let's go to the next Stephen A. clip. I got to be quick.
Trump is claiming that he aced the cognitive test. Even though he's going on late night Truth Social tirades, in the middle of the night, he's texting and calling Governor Walz a name that we don't use anymore to disability. He's attacking female reporters as piggy and ugly. He's falling asleep in the middle of a meeting. I mean, I said yesterday that Marco Rubio is boring, but not that boring that he would fall asleep. So what do you think's going on with him?
Trump is being Trump.
Really? There's nothing cognitively wrong there?
Well, I'm not saying whether there is or isn't. What I'm saying is 77 million people don't care. They voted for him. And those same 77 million people
will do it again. Is it still that number?
They would do it. Well, you could say that it is or isn't, but the point is he's the president of the United States. Despite the onslaught of stuff that was coming his way, he knocked off folks, and the Democrats let him because they weren't on their game. Now you have to look at, because obviously he's not going to circumvent the 22nd Amendment, which will enable him to run for a third term. So now you're talking about J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is considered the adult in the room, the Secretary of State, National Defense, National Security Advisor. You got J.D. Vance, he's the vice president, but he seems more Trump-ish in terms of how he conducts himself and how he's willing to go after people. So who is Trump going to support? One of the things that I talked about on my show was that I said, don't fall for it. Look at what Trump is doing. Trump is positioning himself to remain in power even if he isn't the president. He wants to make sure he maintains that level of influence. And so because of, when you see what he's done with the Honduras president, letting him out, pardoning him, even though the man is alleged to assist in funneling 400 tons of cocaine
Not
into the
alleged.
United
He was
States.
serving
That's right.
45
He was serving
years.
45 years,
Yeah.
absolutely. And you let him out in the same breath. You're bombing people in the Caribbean for the very thing that
You said was a problem.
That you said was a problem.
Well, let's talk about
All of
the
that
bombing.
Stuff, he's doing what he's doing, but in the end, what it comes down to is that you're going to have to beat him because he is going to make sure he dictates
If he
who his
stays away.
successor is going to be.
If he stays away.
Anticipate he's going to be away.
My friend, I
Joe.
want.
You got to pay attention to Gavin Newsom. He's gaining some
Yes.
traction. I don't think he'll win, but he's gaining traction.
Why not?
Because I think that ultimately they'll look at the state of California,
Yeah,
look
California's
at
a tough
affordability,
sell.
look at homelessness, look at crime, and they'll say, hello, highest cost of living in the country. They'll be like, what? Wait a minute now. So I think that'll be a problem for him, but he's articulate enough to defend himself, and we'll see what happens with that.
We're back with Stephen A. Smith. You were about to disagree.
I was disagreeing with this. As a Democrat, the bottom line is this. When we talk about poor people, who ain't thinking about poor people? Democratic Party, I know I do. I know that most candidates within the Democratic Party that I know they think about poor folks. I know they think about the desolate and the disenfranchised. I get that. But what I'm saying is that during the campaign, were you doing what it takes to win? You had too many people going after him for stuff that wasn't going to stick. It wasn't going to influence his voters. So what I would say to you, Whoopi, and what I would say to anybody that doesn't want J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio or somebody like that to succeed him, focus on what's going to win.
Yeah.
That's where my sports background comes in. Tell me what's going to win. I don't want to hear, but I understand the LGBTQ community is important. I understand that the desolate and disenfranchised is somebody we should always be looking out for. I understand the economy. I understand immigration. I get all of that. But the point is, I'm trying to win to make sure that I'm in office and you're not. What is it going to take? The Democrats did not do that last
So
time.
what is the
And
winning
that's what
issue?
happens.
What is the winning issue now?
Affordability and safety.
Yes.
Period. Affordability and safety in the
Which
streets of the United
affects all
States.
those groups.
And
It does. It affects all
a
those
willingness to cross the aisle and show that you're willing to work with people to get stuff done so we don't have this chaos just because we disagree.
Yep.
I think that the Democrats try harder than the Republicans to do that.
Well,
Really?
You're a liar.
I don't
You're
know
lying.
about that. Not when it comes to
here's
him.
what we do know.
Hold on.
All
All right, I got to get the Candace Owens. She lying. She don't know what she's talking about. The Democrats do this morning. What do you mean? They tried to put Donald Trump in jail almost every waking moment. And what happened to him? He didn't even get community service. Y'all know y'all going. And then the people who prosecuted him, they getting prosecuted. Letitia James and them, they going to jail. Fannie can't keep her hands to herself. She got the dude she's sleeping with doing the investigation against Trump. Now she in trouble. Y'all got crooked people doing crooked stuff. And all right, let's get the Candace Owens before I run out of time.